Hello, greetings, salutations, konnichiwa, and every other form of green across this vast, marvelous multiverse. I am Matsu Quinox. This is Horace, and welcome back, my dear, marvelous, wonderful scholars, to the study. Hello there, everyone. Hello there, Julian20. Welcome. Congratulations on getting first. Kintron, hello. And it looks like I need to have a little bit of a drink. Right off the bat, too. Oh my goodness. Hello there, Solar Coast. Welcome. And you passed the test with flying colors. Hello. How are all you fine, wonderful scholars doing tonight? If I may ask so bold a question. Julian20, fabulous. Well, wonderful. Glad to hear you're fabulous. Glad to hear you're fine. Glad to hear you're good. Oh, I need a thesaurus. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Yeah. Blah blah. Oh. Oh, hello there, Firefly. Welcome. Welcome, one and all, back to the study once again. Horace and I have had well, we've had an okay day. So the coast, I certainly could use some relaxing tonight. It's been a strange and rough few days for me. Oh, well, sorry to hear it's been so rough. Well, hope you enjoy tonight's stream then. These streams are all for you, my dear scholars, and if they can bring you a little bit of relaxation, that makes me so happy. Hmm. Julian20 hugs. Yeah, give hugs. Hugs for Solar Coast. Oh my goodness. Yeah, as I was saying, it's been a okay day. I mean, not too bad. A little bit busy towards the end. Got a little overwhelmed doing a little bit of work in the study. But Horace, of course, was here to help me. So was Ovid, so was Virgil. Although I think the two of them snuck off somewhere, probably because of Virgil. Virgil is not a good, he's not a good influence on poor Ovid. I've been trying to make sure that Ovid doesn't learn too many bad lessons from him, but what can you do? Mm. Oh, and before I forget, we do have a new scholar who's joined our ranks. Thank you for the follow. Let me make sure I get this name right. RNL Quiendi. Thank you for the follow, RNL. It's wonderful to have you as our newest scholar. Welcome all. I'm just so happy when we have new scholars on board. Makes me truly feel that we're all one big family here. Well, at least I hope it feels like that and not something different. Oh, congratulations on the watch streak, Julian. You have a 5 stream streak. Ooh, fancy. That is a very fancy number. 5. 5. Sounds a lot like 5. Huh. Anyway, so, so, Julian, yes. So, tonight we will be doing another reading stream, and we'll be continuing our reading of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. A very famous tale, as many of you may know. Um, it was written by an unknown author sometime around I believe it was the 12th century, I think. No one's certain who the author is. We do know, we don't really know much. Believe they call it the Gawain writer, Gawain author, mostly. Um, but it is one of the more important tales in Arthurian lore. It is a prose poem, very a slightly odd mix of the two. Um, and well, I'm trying to think. Put this. Well, we are currently in the middle of it. Mm. Ah, I'm a little bit flustered tonight. I don't know why. But yes, for those who came in late to the story, the story so far concerns Sir Gawain, a knight of the Round Table, who, upon Christmas Day, a Green Knight enters the castle, challenging all other knights and King Arthur to a contest. He will allow anyone to strike a blow against him, and in return, a year hence, he will strike an equal blow to whoever did so. So Gawain takes up the challenge after Arthur tries to do it, and Gawain chops off the Green Knight's head. However, the Green Knight stands, takes his head, and leaves, telling Gawain to meet him at the Green Chapel 1 year hence to have his own head chopped off. Gawain has been traveling many a time, and now has reached a mysterious castle, where a lord is offering him sanctuary for the day, for the time, yeah, for his journey. Oh my goodness, I can't talk. Hmm. So, my dear scholars, shall we begin our journey back to the world of Camelot and the Round Table? Yulian 20 says yes, please. Okay. All right then. My dear scholars, sit back, relax, have a hot or cold beverage of your liking, and let us begin our reading of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Each section is divided into fits, which is divided into other numbers, smaller paragraphs which are numbered. We'll be starting from paragraph 41. 41. Excuse me. On that morning when men call to mind the birth of our dear Lord born to die for our destiny, joy waxes in dwellings the world over for his sake. And so it befell there on the feast day with fine fare, both at main meals and minor repasts, strong men served rare dishes with fine dressings to the dias company. Highest in the place of honor the ancient crone sat, and the lord, so I believe, politely next. Together sat Gawain and the gay lady, in mid-table where the meal was mannerly served first, and after throughout the hall, as was held best. Each gallant by degree was graciously served. There was meat and merry-making and much delight, to such an extent that it would try me to tell of it, even if perhaps I made the effort to describe it. But yet I know the knight and the noble pretty one found such solace and satisfaction seated together. Oh, hello there, One Truel. Welcome, and thank you for the Hydrate Redeem. We have just started reading for the night. You haven't missed anything. Found such solace and satisfaction seated together in the discreet confidences of their courtly dalliance, their irreproachability pure and polished repartee, that with princes' sport their play of wits surprisingly compares. Pipes and side drums sound, trumpets attune their airs, each soul its solace found, and the two were enthralled with theirs. 42. That day they made much merriment, and on the morrow again, and thickly the joys thrawn on the third day after. But gentle was the jubilation on St. John's Day, the final one for feasting, so the folk there thought, as there were guests geared to go in the grey dawn. They watched the night out with wine and wonderful style, leaping night long in their lordly dances. At last, when it was late, those who lived far off, each one bid farewell before wending their ways. Excuse me. Gawain also said goodbye, but the good host grasped him, led him to the hearth of his own chamber, and held him back hard, heartily thanking him for the fine favor he had manifested to him in honoring his house that high feast tide, brightening his abode with his brilliant company. As long as I live, sir, I believe I shall thrive. Now Gawain has been my guest. Now Gawain has been my guest at God's own feast." "Great thanks, sir," said Gawain. "In good faith yours. All yours is the honor. May the High King requite it. Uh, requite it. I stand at your service, knight, to satisfy your will, as good use engages me in great things and small, by right." The lord then bid his best, longer to delay the night, but Gawain, replying, pressed his departure in all despite. 43. Then with courteous inquiry the castellan asked what fierce exploit had sent him forth at that festive season, from the king's court at Camelot, so quickly and alone, before the holy time was over in the homes of men. "You may in truth well demand," admitted the knight. "A high and urgent errand hastened me from thence, for I myself am summoned to seek out a place, to find which I know not where in the world to look. For all the land in Logres, may our Lord help me, I would not fail to find it on the feast of New Year. So this is my suit, sir, which I beseech of you here, that you tell me in truth if tale ever reached you of the Green Chapel, or what ground or glebe it stands on, or of the knight who holds it, whose hue is green. For at that place I am pledged by the pact between us, to meet that man if I remain alive. For now until the New Year is not a great time, and if God will grant it me, more gladly would I see him, than gain any good possession by God's Son. I must wend my way with your good will, therefore. I am reduced to 3 days in which to do my business, and I think it fitter to fall dead than fail in my errand." Then the lord said laughingly, "You may a while, for I shall tell you where your tryst is by your term's end. Give yourself no more grief for the Green Chapel's whereabouts, for you may lie back in your bed, brave man, at ease, till full morning on the first, and then fare forth to the meeting place at mid-morning, to manage how you may out there. Leave not till New Year's Day, then get up and go with cheer. You shall be shown the way. It is hardly 2 miles from here." 44. Then Gawain was glad, and gleefully exclaimed, "Now above all most heartily do I offer you thanks, for my goal is now gained, and by grace of yours I shall dwell here and do what you deem good for me." So the lord seized Sir Gawain, seated him beside himself, and to enliven their delight he had the ladies fetched, and much gentle merriment they long made together. I wonder what that means. The lord, as one like to take leave of his senses, and not aware of what he was doing, spoke warmly and merrily. Then he spoke to Sir Gawain, saying out loud, "You have determined to do the deed I ask. Will you hold to your undertaking here and now?" "Yes, sir, in good sooth," said the true knight. "While I stay in your stronghold, I shall stand at your command." "Since you have spurred," the lord said, "from afar, then watched awake with me, you are not well supplied, with either sustenance or sleep for certain, I know. So you shall lie long in your room late and at ease. Tomorrow till the time of mass, then take your meal, when you will, with my wife beside you, to comfort you with her company till I come back to court." So he's going to leave the castle and leave his wife with Sir Gawain to keep him company while he's away. He's a very trusting lord, isn't he? Very trusting, apparently. "You stay, and I shall get up at dawn. I will to the hunt away." When Gawain's agreement was sworn, he bowed as brave knights may. Union 20, a test maybe? So of course feels like a setup. It does does, kinda, doesn't it? 45. Excuse me. Firefly, it's her duty to host, but yeah. Well, that is true. That is true. This is a different time. It is her duty as the wife of a lord to host the guests, I suppose. Moreover, said the man, let us make a bargain, that whatever I win in the woods be yours, and any achievement you chance on here you exchange for it. Sweet sir, truly swear to such a bartering, whether fair fortune or foul befall from it. By God, said the good Gawain, I agree to that, and I am happy that you have an eye to sport. Then the prince of that people said, what pledge of wine is brought to seal the bargain? And they burst out laughing. They took drink and toyed in trifling talk, these lords and ladies, as long as they liked. Firefly, they'd never theoretically be alone together, but we all know that kinds of things happen even then. That is true, that is true. These lords and ladies as long as they liked, and then with French refinement and many fair words, they stood softly speaking to say good night. Wow, it's a rhyme before the end of the paragraph. That's a first. Kissing as they parted company in courtly style, with lithe liege servants in plenty and lambent torches, each brave man was brought to his bed at last, full soft. Before they fared to bed, they rehearsed their bargain oft, that people's prince men said could fly his wit aloft. Fit 3. Ooh, we're on the next fit. 46. In the faint light before dawn, folk were stirring. Guests who had to go gave orders to their grooms, who busied themselves briskly with the beasts, saddling, trimming their tackle, and tying on their luggage, arrayed for riding in the richest style. Guests leaped on their mounts lightly, laid hold of their bridles, and each rider rode out on his own chosen way. The beloved lord of the land was not the last up, being arrayed for riding with his retinue in force. He ate a sop hastily when he had heard mass, and hurried with horn to the hunting field. Before the sun's first rays fell on the earth, on their high steeds were he and his knights. Then these cunning hunters came to couple their hounds, cast open the kennel doors and called them out, and blew on their bugles 3 bold notes. The hounds broke out barking, baying fiercely, and when they went chasing they were whipped back. There were 100 choice huntsmen there, whose fame resounds. To their stations keepers strode, huntsmen unleashed hounds. The forest overflowed with strident bugle sounds. Oof. 47. At the first cry wild creatures quivered with dread. The deer in distraction darted down to the dales. Try and say that 5 times fast. Or up to the high ground. But eagerly they were, driven back by the beaters, who bellowed lustily. They let the harts with high branching heads have their freedom, and the brave bucks too with their broad antlers. For the noble prince had expressly prohibited meddling with male deer in the months of close season. But the hinds were held back with a hey and a ho, and does driven with much din to the deep valleys. Lo! The arrows slanting flight as they were loosed. A shaft flew forth at every forest turning, the broad head biting on the brown flank. They screamed as the blood streamed out, sank dead on the sward, always hurried by hounds hard on their heels, and the hurrying hunters' high horn notes. Like the rending of ramped hills roared the din. If one of the wild beasts slipped away from the archers, it was dragged down and met death at the dog bases. Oh, that's a really horrible that's a really horrible visual. After being hunted from the high ground and hurried to the water, so skilled were the hunt servants at stations lower down, so gigantic the greyhounds that grabbed them in a flash, seizing them savagely, as swift, I swear, as sight. The lord in humor high would spur, then stop and slight, would stop and alight. In bliss the day went by, till dark drew on and night. Let me get a quick drink. Have to keep hydrated. Music. 48. Thus by the forest borders the brave lord sported, and the good man Gawain on his gay bed lying, lay hidden till the light of day gleamed on the walls, covered with fair canopy, the curtains closed. And as in slumber he slept on, there slipped into his mind a slight suspicious sound, and the door stealthily opened. He caught up his head out of the bedclothes. Yeah, he raised up his head out of the bedclothes, caught up the corner of the curtain a little, and watched warily towards it to see what it was. It was the lady, loveliest to look upon, who secretly and silently secured the door. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Then bore towards his bed. The brave knight, embarrassed, lay flat with fair adroitness, interesting word there, and feigned sleep. Silently she stepped on, stole to his bed, caught up the curtain, crept within, and seated herself softly on the side of the bed. There she watched a long while, waiting for him to wake. Slyly closed this lawn while lay the knight, considering in his soul this circumstance, in sense and likely sequel, for it seemed marvellous. Still it would be more circumspect, he said to himself, to speak and discover her desire in due course. So he stirred and stretched himself, twisting towards her, opened his eyes, and acted as if astonished, and to seem the safer by such service, crossed himself in dread. With chin and cheeks so fair, white ranged with rosy red, with laughing lips and air of love, she lightly said. 49. Good morning, Sir Gawain, the gay one murmured. How unsafely you sleep, that one may slip in here. Now you are taken in a trice, unless a truce come between us. I shall bind you to your bed, of that be sure. The lady uttered laughingly those playful words. Good morning, great gay lady, Gawain blithely greeted her. Do with me as you will, that well pleases me, for I surrender speedily and sue for grace, which to my mind, since I must, is much the best course. And thus he repaid her with repartee and ready laughter. But if, lovely lady, your leave were forthcoming, and you were pleased to free your prisoner and pray him to rise, I would abandon my bed for a better a better habiliment, and have more happiness in our honey talk. Nay, verily, fine sir, urged the voice of that sweet one, you shall not budge from your bed. I have a better idea. I shall hold you fast here, on this other side as well, and so chat on with the cavalier my chains have caught. For I know well, my knights, that your name is Sir Gawain, whom all the world worships wherever he ride. For lord and their ladies, and all living folk, hold your honor in high esteem and your courtesy. And now here you are truly, and we are utterly alone. My lord and his liegemen are a long way off. Others still bide in their beds, my bower maidens too, shut fast and firmly with a fine heap in the door is the door. And since I have in this house him who pleases all, as long as my time lasts, I shall lingering in talk take my fill. My young body is yours, do with it what you will. My strong necessities force me to be your servant still. Oh my goodness! What have we stumbled into? Oh, Gawain, what? Oh, poor Gawain. Oh, whoa. Oh, another drink. Oh my goodness, Gawain. Excuse me. 50. So close. Castle Anthrax. Actually, I wonder if, Holy Grail was a parody, of course, of Arthurian lore. And that castle it was parodying in that one actually was parodying the castle which Galahad supposedly finds the Grail in. But I wonder if they were parodying this scene as well in that. That's a good question. 50. In good truth, said Gawain, that is a gate in indeed. Kidron can't have just a little barrel. Oh, that was great. In good truth, said Gawain, that is a gate indeed, though I am hardly the hero of whom you speak, to be held in such honor as you here suggest. Excuse me. I am altogether worthy. I own it freely. By God, I should be glad if you granted it right, for me to essay by speech or some other service, to pleasure such a perfect lady. Pure joy it would be. In good truth, Sir Gawain, the gay lady replied, if I slighted or set at naught your spotless fame, and your all-pleasing prowess, it would show poor breeding. But there is no lack of ladies who would love, noble one, to hold you in their arms as I have you here, and linger in the luxury of your delightful discourse, which would perfectly pleasure them and appease their woes, rather than have riches or the red gold they own. But I love that Lord, the celestial ruler. I have wholly in my hand what all desires through his grace. Not loth was she to allure this lady fair of face, but the knight with speeches pure answered in each case. 51. Madam, said the merry man, may Mary quite requite you, for in good faith I have found in you free-hearted generosity. Certain men for their deeds require esteem from others, but for myself I do not deserve the respect they show me. Your honourable mind makes you utter only what is good. Now by Mary, said the noble lady, not so it seems to me, for were I worth the whole of womankind, and all the wealth in the world were in my hand, and if bargaining I were to bid so bring myself lord, with your noble qualities, knight, made known to me now, your good looks, gracious manner, and great courtesy, all of which I have heard of before, but here prove true. No lord that is living could be allowed to excel you. Indeed, dear lady, you did better, said the knight. But I am proud of the precious price you put on me, and solemnly as your servant say you are my sovereign. May Christ requite it you. I have become your knight. Then of many matters there sorry. Then of many matters they talked till mid morning, and after, and all the time she behaved as if she adored him. But Sir Gawain was on guard in a gracious manner, though she was the winsomest woman the warrior had known. He was less love laden because of the loss he must now face. His destruction by the stroke, for a comet must was the case. The lady of leaving then spoke. He assented with speedy grace. 52. Then she gave him good-bye, glinting with laughter, and standing up astounded him with these strong words. May he who prospers every speech for this pleasure reward you. I cannot bring myself to believe that you could be Gawain. How so? Said the knight, speaking urgently, for he feared he had failed to observe the forms of courtesy. But the beauteous one blessed him, and brought out this argument. Such a great man as Gawain is granted to be, the very vessel of virtue and fine courtesy, could scarcely have stayed such a sojourn with a lady, without craving a kiss out of courtesy. Touched by some trifling hint at the tail end of a trifle there, touched by some trifling hint at the tail end of a speech. So be it as you say, then said Gawain. I shall kiss at your command as become a knight, who fears to offend you. No further plea is needed. Whereupon she approached him, and penned him in his inner arms, leaned over him lovingly, and gave the lord a kiss. Oh my goodness, should I have put oh my goodness, oh my gracious. Should I have put a warning on this stream? I mean, that's quite daring, isn't it? I mean, to think we are reading such bold, bold action in a book like this. I'm sorry, my dear scholars, I cannot read any further. Oh, this is scandalous. This is so scandalous. Oh, oh, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Give me one moment. I have to collect myself. I have collected myself, my dear scholars. Oh my goodness. Mm. Sorry about that. Just, oh my goodness. Such text, such bold action. Gawain, how can you stand this? Hmm. Now where was I? Then they commended each other to Christ in comely style, and without more words she went out by the door. He made ready to rise with rapid haste, summoned his servant, selected his garb, and walked down, when he was dressed, debonairly to mass. Then he went to the well-served meal which awaited him, and made merry sport till the moon rose at night. Never was Baron Bold so taken by ladies bright, that young one and the old, they throve all three in delights. 53. And still at his sport spurred the castellan, hunting the barren hinds in holt and on heath and on heath. So many had he slain by the setting of the sun, of does and other deer, that it was downright wonderful. Then at the finish the folk flocked in eagerly, and quickly collected the killed deer in a heap. Those highest in rank came up with hosts of attendants, picked out what appeared to be the plumpest beasts, and according to custom had them cut open with finesse. Ooh. Some who ceremoniously assessed them there found 2 fingers' breadth of fat on the worst. Then they slid open the slot, seized the first stomach, scraped it with a keen knife, and tied up the tripes. Oh my goodness. Next they hacked off all the legs. The hide was stripped, the belly broken open, and the bowels removed. What am I reading here? Julian 20 sounds like a good time. That sounds like a good time to you? Solar Coast, bowels unplugged. I don't need to hear about bowels unplugged. Oh. Oh, no. Carefully, lest they loosen the lineage of the knot. Then they gripped the gullet, disengaged deftly the whiz end from the windpipe, and whipped out the guts. Oh, oh no. Then their sharp knives shore through the shoulder bones, which they slid out of a small hole, leaving the sides intact. Oh. Then they cleft the chest clean through, cutting it in two. Why is this paragraph so long? Why is it so long? Firefly, such vivid butchering. Silico sounds like a good time. Oh, come on! Oh. And again at the gullet, a man began to work, and straightway rived it right to the fork. Silicals, make that bacon. That is not bacon you get from pigs, not from deer. I don't think you get bacon from deer. Julian 20, do the butchery. That is horrifying, Julian 20. What is wrong with you? That is horrifying. Shame. Shame on you. I am just horrified by this. We're having a nice story about knights getting hit on and green knights cutting off people's heads, and in the middle of this we're listening to deer being butchered in real graphic. Kidshot, I mean, you could make deer bacon, just it's really lean. Firefly, venison is so lean. I have had venison before. 20, I don't like venison. It's just like this is horrifying. Out of any imagery in the story, this is just like, oh, why? Oh my goodness. Flicked out the shoulder fillets, and faithfully then he rapidly ripped free the rib fillets. Oh. Similarly, as it seemingly the spine was cleared. Oh no. All the way to the haunch which hung from it, and they heaved up the whole haunch and hewed it off. And that is called, according to its kind, the numbles. Oh, that's just what I wanted to know. There we go, scholars. This is called the numbles. This is the numbles. Everyone, it took us an entire paragraph to learn that this is called the numbles. Firefly, needs long cooking or 2 different preparations to break it down for better eating. So it calls, good grief, that deer's getting treated like it was in Mortal Kombat. Oh. I could do without this entire paragraph. Those numbles, Julian 20, I want some. You want some after reading that? I find. At the thigh forks, then they strain and free the folds behind, hurrying to hack all in twain, the backbone to unbind. "54. Well, hopefully this next paragraph's a little bit better. I don't need any more gruesomeness. Then they hewed off the head. Oh, come on! Come on! I thought it was over this. Kidtron, deer shoulder does tend to be broken from the socket by the blade. Flanks are a bit easier. Oh, come on. Healing 20, you could skip that. I can't skip it. It's part of the book. Why would I don't dare skip it. Then they hewed off the head and also the neck. Oh, and after sundered the sides swiftly from the chine, and into the foliage they flung the fee of the raven. Oh, that's I guess that's the guts. And then each fellow for his fee, as it fell to him to have, skewered through the stout flanks beside the ribs. Kinchon, I'm a predator, I know dismembering play. Pray. Thank you for the education, Kinchon. That's just what I wanted to hear when I'm reading this. Ugh. I don't need to imagine how you eat Kintron. I can only imagine it's a horror show. No offense. On one of the finest fells they fed their hounds, and let them have the lights, the liver, and the tripes. With bread well imbued with blood mixed with them, boldly they blew the kill amid the baying of hounds. Then off they went homewards, holding their meat, stalwartly sounding many stout horn calls. As dark was descending, they were drawing near to the comely castle where quietly our knight stayed. Fires roared, and blithely hearts were beating, as into hall came the lord. When Gawain gave him greeting, joy abounded at the board. 55. Then the master commanded everyone to meet in the hall, called the ladies to come down with their company of maidens. Before all the folk on the floor, he bid men. Oh my goodness, I dropped something. Oh. Before all the folk on the floor, he bid men fetch the venison and place it before him. Then gaily and in good humor to Gawain he called, told over the tally of the sturdy beasts, and showed him the fine fat flesh flayed from the ribs. How does the sport please you? Do you praise me for it? Am I thoroughly thanked for thriving as a huntsman? Wow, he really sounds needy. Certainly, said the other. Such splendid spoils have I not seen for 7 years in the season of winter. And I give you all, Gawain, said the good man then, for according to our covenant you may claim it as your own. Certes that is so, and I say the same to you, said Gawain, for my true gains in this great house I am not loath to allow must belong to you. And he put his arms round his handsome neck, hugging him, and kissed him in the comeliest way he could think of. You know, I'm not going to judge Gawain at all on this. I'm sure it was quite nice. Healing 20, oh, nice boy. Accept my taking, sir, for I receive no more. Gladly would I grant them, however great they were. And therefore I thank you, the Thane said. Good! Yours may be the better gift, if you would break it to me, where your wisdom won you wealth of that kind. No such clause in our contract. Request nothing else, said the other. You have your due, ask more, none should. They laughed in blithe assent, with worthy words and good. Then to supper they swiftly went, to fresh, delicious food. Give me a second. Give me a second, my dear scholars. Okay, never mind. 56. And seen afterwards by the hearth of an audience chamber, where where retainers repeatedly brought them rare wines, in their jolly jesting they jointly agreed, on a settlement similar to the preceding one, to exchange the chance achievements of the morrow, no matter how novel they were. At night when they met, they accorded on this compact, the whole court observing, and the bumper was brought forth in banter to seal it. And at last they lovingly took leave of each other, each man hastening thereafter to his bed. The cock having crowed and called only thrice, the lord leaped from bed and his liegeman too, so that mass and a meal were immediately dealt with, and by first light the folk to the forest were bound for the chase. Proudly the hunt with horns soon drove through a desert place, uncoupled through the thorns, the great hounds pressed space. Oh, 1 second, my dear scholars. Please do excuse me. The dust in the room here once in a while gets a little to me. I just rhymed. I don't know. Oh, thank you for the posture check, Eulian20. Oh my goodness. Let me get repositioned. Oh, that's better. Oh, excuse me. 57. By a quagmire that quickly scented quarry and gave ton, and the chief huntsman urged on the first hounds up, spurring them on with a splendid spat of words. The hounds, hearing it, hurried there at once, fell on the trial furiously, 40 together, and made such echoing uproar, all howling at once, that the rocky banks round about rang with the din. Hunters inspirited them with sound of speech and horn. Then together in a group across the ground they surged, at speed between a pool and a spiteful crag, on a stony knoll by a steep cliff at the side of a bog, where rugged rocks had roughly tumbled down. They careened on the quest, the cry following, then surrounding the crag and the rocky knoll as well, certain their prey skulked inside their ring, for the baying of the bloodhounds meant the beast was there. Then they beat upon the bushes and bade him come out, and he swung out savagely assault the line of men. A baneful boar of unbelievable size, a solitary lawn sent sundered from the herd, being old and brawny, the biggest of them all. And grim and ghastly when he grunted, great was the grief, when he thrust through the hounds, hurling 3 to earth, and sped on scot-free, swift and unscathed. They hallooed, yelled, "Look out!" cried, "Hey, we have him!" and blew horns boldly to bring the bloodhounds together. Many were the merry cries from men and dogs, as they hurried clamoring after their quarry to kill him on the track. Many times he turns at bay and tears the dogs which attack. He hurts the hounds, and they moan in a piteous pack. Another little drink. Oh my goodness. 58. Then men shoved forward, shaped to shoot at him, loosed arrows at him, hitting him often, but the points, for all their power, could not pierce his flanks, nor would the barbs bite on his bristling brow, though the smooth-shaven shaft shattered in pieces wherever it hit, the head rebounded. But when the boar was battered by blows unceasing, goaded and driven demented, he dashed at the men, striking them savagely, as he assailed them in rushes, so that some lacking stomachs stood back in fear. But the lord, on a lithe horse, lunged after him, blew on his bugle like a bold knight in battle, rallied the hounds as he rode through the rank thickets, pursuing this savage boar till the sun set. And so they disported themselves this day, while our lovable lord lay in his bed. At home the gracious Gawain in gorgeous clothes reclined. The gay one did not forget to come with welcome kind, and early him beset to make him change his mind. Oh, here we go again. 59. She came to the curtain and cast her eye on Sir Gawain, who at once gave her gracious welcome. She answered him eagerly with ardent words, sat at his side softly, and with a spurt of laughter and a loving look delivered these words. It seems to me strange, if, sir, you are Gawain, a person so powerfully disposed to good, yet nevertheless know nothing of noble conventions, and when made aware of them, wave them away. Quickly you have cast off what I schooled you in yesterday, by the truest of all tokens of talk I know of. What? Said the wondering knight. I am not aware of one. But if it be true what you tell, I am entirely to blame. I counselled you then about kissing, the comely one said. When a favor is conferred, it must be forthwith accepted. That is becoming for a courtly knight who keeps the rules. Sweet one, unsay that speech, said the brave man, for I dared not do that lest I be denied. If I were forward and were refused, the fault would be mine. But none, said the noblewoman, could deny you by my faith. You are strong enough to constrain with your strength if you wish, if any were so ill-bred as to offer you resistance. Yes, good guidance you give me, by God, replied Gawain. But threateners are ill thought of, and do not thrive in my country, nor do gifts thrive when given without good will. I am here at your behest, to offer a kiss to when you like. You may do it whenever you deem fit, or desist in this place. The beautiful lady bent and fairly kissed his face. Much speech the two then spent on love, its grief and grace. 60. I would know of you, knights, the noble lady said, if it did not anger you, what argument you use, being so hale and hearty as you are at this time. So generous a gentleman as you are justly famed to be, since the choicest thing in chivalry, the chief thing praised, is the loyal sport of love, the very law of arms, for the tale of the contentions of true knights is told by the title and text of their feats. How lords for their true loves put their lives at hazard, endure dreadful trials for their dear love's sake, and with valor avenged and made void their woes, bringing home abundant bliss by their virtues. You are the gentlest and most just of your generation. Everywhere your honor and high fame are known. Yet I have sat at your side 2 separate times here, without hearing you utter in any way a single syllable of the saga of love. Being so polished and punctuous, a pledge fulfiller, you ought to be eager to lay open to a young thing your discoveries in the craft of courtly love. What? Are you ignorant with all your renown? Or do you deem me too dull to drink in your dalliance? For shame. I sit here unchaperoned, and stay to acquire some courtly game. So while my lord is away, teach me your true wit's fame. 61. In good faith, said Gawain, may God requite you. It gives me great happiness, and is good sport to me, that so fine a fair one as you should find her way here, and take pains with so poor a man, make pastime with her knight, with any kind of clemency. It comforts me greatly, but for me to take on the travail of interpreting true love, and construing the subjects of the stories of arms to you who I hold have more skill in that art by half than 100 of such as I am or ever shall be on the earth I inhabit, would in faith be a manifold folly, noble lady. To please you I would press with all the power in my soul, for I am highly beholden to you, and evermore shall be true servant to your bumptuous self, so save me God. So that stately lady tempted him, and tried him with questions, to win him to wickedness, whatever else she thought. But he defended himself so firmly that no fault appeared, nor was there any evil apparent on either side, but bliss. For long they laughed and played, till she gave him a gracious kiss. A fond farewell she bade, and went her way on this. Where was I? Oh, there we go. 62. Sir Gawain bestirred himself and went to mass. Then dinner was dressed, and with due honor served. All day long the lord and the ladies disported, but the castellan coursed across the country time and again, hunted his hapless boar as he hurtled over the hills, then bit the backs of his best hounds asunder, standing at bay, till the bowmen obliged him to break free out into the open for all he could do. So fast the arrows flew when the folk there concentrated, even the strongest he sometimes made start back. But in time he became so tired he could tear away no more, and with the speed he still possessed, he spurted to a hole on a rise by a rock with a running stream beside. He got the bank at his back, and began to abride the ground. The froth was foaming foully at his mouth, and he wetted his white tusks. You know, the sad thing is, for a second there, when I was reading this section, I thought they were talking about the Lord and not the boar. Oh, good night, Solar Coast. Thank you for coming to the stream. Have a wonderful evening. A weary time it was for the bold men about, who were bound to harass him from a distance, for none dared to draw near him for dread. He had hurt so many men that it entered no one's head to be torn by his tusks again, and is raging and seeing red. 63. Till the castellan came himself, encouraging his horse, and saw the boar at bay with his band of men around. He alighted in lively fashion, left his courser, drew and brandished his bright sword, and boldly strode forward, striding at speed through the stream to where the savage beast was. The wild thing was aware of the weapon and its wielder, and so bridled with its bristles in a burst of fierce snorts, that all were anxious for the Lord, lest he have the worst of it. Straightway the savage brutes sprang at the man, and baronet boar were both in a heap. In the swirling water the worst went to the beast, for the man had marked him well at the moment of impact, had put the point precisely at the pit of his chest, and drove it to the hilt, so that the heart was shattered, and the spent beast sank snarling, and was swept downstream, teeth bare. 100 hounds and more attack and seize and tear. Men tug him to the shore, and the dogs destroy him there. Oh my goodness, that really is. That's really dark. 64. Bugles blew the triumph, horns blared loud. There was Halloween in high pride by all present. Branches bayed at the beast, as bidden by their masters. The chief huntsman in charge of that chase so hard. Then one who was wise in woodcrafts started in style to slash open the boar. Oh, here we go again. First he hewed off the head and hoisted it on high, then rent him roughly along the ridge of his back, brought out the bowels and broiled them on coals, for blending with bread as the blanch's reward. Then he broke out the brawn from the bright broad flanks, took off the offal as is fit, attached the two halves entirely together, and on a strong stake stoutly hung them. Then home they hurried with the large beast, with the boar's head borne before the baron himself, who had destroyed him in the stream by the strength of his arm, above all. Julian 20, more of the slaughter dance. We are not having a slaughter dance, Julian 20. No. No. It seemed to him an age till he greeted Gawain in hall to reap his rightful wage. The latter came at his call. Julian 20, but, Kintron, no dance. No, no dance. You can have a safety dance, but that's it. 65. The Lord exclaimed loudly, laughing merrily, when he saw Sir Gawain and spoke joyously. The sweet ladies were sent for, and the servants assembled. Then he showed them the shields, and surely described the large size and length, and the malignity of the fierce boars fighting, when he fled in the woods. So that Gawain congratulated him on his great deed, commended it as a merit he had manifested well. For a beast with so much brawn, the bold man said, a boar of such breadth, he had not before seen. When they handled the huge head, the upright men praised it, expressed horror thereat for the ear of the Lord. Now, Gawain, said the good man, this game is your own, by our contracted treaty. In truth you know. It is so, said the knight, and as certainly I shall give you all my gains as guerdon, in faith. He clasped the castellan's neck and kissed him kindly, and then served him a second time in the same style. In all our transactions since I came to sojourn, asserted Gawain, up to tonight, as of now, there's nothing that I owe. By Sir Giles, the castellan quipped, you're the finest fellow I know. Your wealth will have us whipped, if your trade continues so. Excuse me. 66. Then the trestles and tables were trimmed set out, complete with cloths and clearly flaming cressets, and waxen torches were placed in the wall brackets by retainers, who then tended the entire hall gathering. Much gladness and glee then gushed forth there, by the fire on the floor, and in multifarious ways. They sang noble songs at supper and afterwards, a concert of Christmas carols and new dance songs, with the most mannerly mirth. What is a mirth? Mirth a man could tell of. And our courteous knight kept constant company with the lady. In a bewitchingly well-mannered way she made up to him, secretly soliciting the stalwart knight, so that he was astounded and upset in himself. But his upbringing forbade him to rebuff her utterly, so he behaved towards her honorably, whatever aspersions might be cast. They revelled in the hall as long as their pleasure might last, and then at the castellan's call to the chamber hearth they passed. So if you're wondering why he doesn't just say no to her, he technically can't. By the laws of what is it? Not courtesy, chivalry. Chivalry. By the laws of chivalry, technically Gawain can't turn her down because then he'd be insulting the wife of his host. But at the same time, he can't entirely accept it because then he would be insulting his host. So he has to find that kind of in between section where he can essentially graciously accept some of what she's doing, but at the same time say, no, I can't go that far. think I need more water. Hmm, where was I? 67. There they drank and discoursed and decided to enjoy similar solace and sport on New Year's Eve. But the princely knight asked permission to depart in the morning, for his appointed time was approaching, and perforce he must go. But the lord would not let him, and implored him to linger, saying, I swear to you, as a staunch true knight, you shall gain the Green Chapel to give your dues, by Lord, in the light of New Year, long before sunrise. Therefore remain in your room and rest in comfort, while I fare hunting in the forest, in fulfilment of our oath, exchanging what we achieve when the chase is over. For twice I have tested you, and twice found you true. Now third time throw best. Think of that tomorrow. Let us make merry while we may, set our minds on joy. For hard fate can hit men whenever it likes. This was graciously granted, and Gawain stayed. Blithely drink was brought, then to bed with lights they pressed. All night Sir Gawain sleeps, softly and still at rest. But the Lord his custom keeps, and is early up and dressed. 68. 1 second. I think I see Ovid over here. Ovid, could you give me a little more water, please? I'm running out. Thank you. 68. After Mass, he and his men made a small meal. Thank you, Ovid. Oh, hello there, Legacy Bookish. Welcome. Thank you for the lurk. Oh my goodness, 1 second. Oh, such dust. 68. After Mass, he and his men made a small meal. Merry was the morning. He demanded his horse. The men were ready mounted before the main gate, a host of knightly horsemen to follow after him. Wonderfully fair was the forest land, for the frost remained, and the rising sun shone ruddily on the ragged clouds, in its beauty brushing their blackness off the heavens. The huntsmen unleashed the hounds by a holt side, and the rocks and surrounding bushes rang with their horn calls. Some found and followed the fox's tracks. Oh, poor fox. And wove various ways in their wily fashion. A small hound cried the scent. The senior huntsman called. His fellow foxhounds to him, and feverishly sniffing, the rout of dogs rushed forward on the right path. The fox hurried fast, for they found him soon, and see them distinctly pursued him at speed, unmistakably giving tongue with tumultuous din. Deviously in different country he doubled on his tracks, swerved and wheeled away, often waited listening, till at last by a little ditch he leaped a quickset hedge, and stole out stealthily at the side of a valley. Considering his stratagem had given the slip to the hounds, but he stumbled on a tracking dog's trice place unawares, and there in a cleft 3 hounds threatened him at once, all gray. He swiftly started back, and full of deep dismay, he dashed on a different track, to the woods he went away. 69. Then came the lively delight of listening to hounds, when they had all met in a muster, mingling together. For catching sight of him, they cried such curses on him, that the clustering cliffs seemed to be crashing down. Here he was hallooed when the hunters met him, there savagely snarled at by intercepting hounds. Then he was called thief and threatened often. With the tracking dogs on his trail, no tarrying was possible. When out in the open he was often run at, so he was often swerved in again, that artful Reynard. Yes, he led the lord and his liegemen a dance, in this manner among the mountains till mid-afternoon, while harmoniously at home the honored knight slept between the comely curtains in the cold morning. But the ladies longing to woo would not let her sleep, nor would she impair the purpose pitched in her heart, but rose up rapidly and ran to him in a ravishing robe that reached to the ground, trimmed with finest fur from pure pelts, not coiffed as to custom, but with costly jewels, strung in scores on her splendid hairnet. Her fine featured face and fair throat were unveiled. Her breast was bare, and her back as well. Oh my goodness. She came in by the chamber door and closed it after her, cast open a casement and called on the knight, and briskly thus rebuked him with bountiful words of good cheer. Ah, sir, what sound sleep? The morning's crisp and clear. He had been drowsing deep, but now he had to hear. 70. The noble sighed ceasingly in unsettled slumber, as threatening thoughts thronged in the dawn light about destiny, which the day after would deal him his fate at the Green Chapel, where Gawain was to greet his man, and he bound to bear his buffet unresisting. But having recovered consciousness in comely fashion, he heaved himself out of dreams and answered hurriedly. The lovely lady advanced, laughing adorably, swooped over his splendid face, and sweetly kissed him. He welcomed her worthy with noble cheer, and gazing on her gay and glorious attire, her features so faultless and fine of complexion, he felt a flust of rapture suffice his heart. Sweet and genial smiling slid them into joy, till bliss burst forth between them, beaming gay and bright. With joy the two contended, in talk of true delight, and peril would have impended, had Mary not minded her knight. Julian 20 sounds cold. Well, those castles often were cold. And in fact, you stayed warm two ways. One, big beds, a lot of people sleeping together, lots of layers of furs and blankets. And two, a lot of eating. A lot of eating. 71. For that peerless princess pressed him so hotly, so invited him to the very verge, that he felt forced either to allow her love, or blackguardly rebuff her. He was concerned for his courtesy, lest he be called caitiff, but more especially for his evil plight if he should plunge into sin, and dishonor the owner of the house treacherously. God shield me! That shall not happen for sure, said the knight. So with laughing love talk he deflected gently the downright declarations that dropped from her lips. Said the beauty to the bold man, blame will be yours if you love not the living body lying close to you, more than all wooers in the world who are wounded in heart, unless you have a lover more beloved, who delights you more, a maiden to whom you are committed, so immutably bound, that you do not seek to sever from her, which I see is so. Tell me the truth of it, I entreat you now. By all the loves there are, do not hide the truth with guile. Then gently, by St. John, said the knight with a smile, I owe my oath to none, nor wish to yet awhile. 72. 72. Those words, said the fair woman, are the worst there could be. But I am truly answered to my other anguish. Give me now a gracious kiss, and I shall go from here. As a maid that loves much, mourning on this earth. Then sighing she stooped and seemingly kissed him, and severing himself from him stood up and said, At this adieu, my dear one, do this do this pleasure. Give me something as gift, your glove if no more, to mitigate my mourning when I remember you. And now certainly, for your sake, said the knight, I wish I had here the handsomest thing I own, for you have deserved, forsooth, superbly and rightfully a richer reward than I could give. But as tokens of true love, trifles mean little. It is not to your honour to have at this time a mere glove at Gawain's gift to treasure. For I am here on an errand to unknown regions, and have no bondsmen, no baggages with dear brought things in them. This afflicts me now, fair lady, for your sake. Man must do as he must, neither lament it nor repine. No, highly honoured one, replied that lady fine, though gift you give me none, you must have something of mine. Excuse me. 73. She proffered him a rich ring wrought in red gold, with a sparkling stone set capriciously in it, which beamed as brilliantly as the bright sun. You may well believe its worth was wonderfully great. But the courteous man declined it, and quickly said, Before God gracious lady, no giving just now. Not having anything to offer, I should accept nothing. She offered it him urgently, and he refused it again, fast affirming his refusal on his faith as a knight. Put out by this repulse, she presently said, If you reject my ring as too rich in value, doubtless you would be less deeply indebted to me if I gave you my girdle, a less gainful gift. She swiftly slipped off the cincture of her gown, which was round her waist under the wonderful mantle, a girdle of green silk with a golden hem, embroidered only at the edges with hand-stitched ornament, and she pleaded with the prince in a pleasant manner to take it notwithstanding its trifling worth. But he told her that he could not touch no treasure at all, not gold nor any gift, till God gave him grace to pursue to success the search he was bound on, and therefore I beg you not to be displeased. Press no more your purpose, for I promise it can never be. I owe you 100-fold for grace you have granted me, and even though hot and cold, I shall stay your devotee. 74. Do you say no to this silk? Then said the beauty, because it is simple in itself, and so it seems. Lo, it is little indeed, and so less worth your esteem. But one who is aware of the worth twined in it would appraise its properties as more precious, perhaps. For the man that binds his body with this belt of green, as long as it laps it closely about him, no hero under heaven can hack him to pieces. Oh my goodness! For he cannot be killed by any cunning on earth. Oh my goodness, she's giving him something that's gonna actually protect him from the Green Knight? That's kind of fortuitous. Then the prince pondered, and it appeared to him a precious gem to protect him in the peril appointed him when he gained the Green Chapel to be given checkmate. It would be a splendid stratagem to escape being slain. Then he allowed her to solicit him and let her speak. She pressed the belt upon him with potent words, and having got his agreement, she gave it him gladly, beseeching him for her sake to conceal it always, and hide it from her husband with all diligence, that never should another know of it, the noble swore outright. Then often his thanks gave he, with all his heart and might, and thrice by then had she kissed the constant night. 75. Then with a word of farewell she went away, for she could not first force further satisfaction from him. Directly she withdrew, Sir Gawain dressed himself, rose and arrayed himself in rich garments, but laid aside the Lovelace the lady had given him, secreted it carefully where he could discover it later. Then he went his way at once to the chapel, privily approached the priest and prayed him there, to listen to his life's sins and enlighten him, on how he might have salvation in the hereafter. Then confessing his faults, he fairly shrove himself, begging mercy for both major and minor sins. He asked the holy man for absolution, and was absolved with certainty, and sent out so pure, that Doomsday could have declared the day after, that he made merrier among the noble ladies, with comely caroling and all kind of pleasure, than ever he had done with ecstasy, till came dark night. Such honors he did to all, they said never has this knight, since coming into hall, expressed such pure delight. Hmm. So, my dear scholars, I got a choice here. Um, we're at section number 76. There are 101 sections in this book, so there's not a lot. But I can feel my voice starting to strain a little bit from the reading. So I'm wondering if we should save this last little bit for one more stream to read it. And then maybe I'll do an additional Arthurian story alongside it. And then do some discussion on Arthurian legends in there. Union 20, stop now. Union 20, save your voice. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Because I'd rather not, strain it too much. After all, I was just recovering from some voice problems. So we're going to stop there for now. And I think that's a good stopping point. And then when we do come back next time, we'll be reading more about Sir Gawain, and we'll finish off Sir Gawain the Green Knight, and we'll have a little discussion about it. But are you enjoying the story so far, my dear scholars? It's interesting, although I don't know about all the hunting scenes. The hunting scenes are a little graphic. Um, there are some bits I didn't get to mention as I was reading. For instance, when they call, say, Reynard, Reynard was a term used for a fox. It was, in fact, a character that was popular in medieval literature. He was sort of a European trickster character that was written in fables. So if you read a lot of medieval texts, you'll find the name Renard popping up a lot, used for fox characters, which is interesting. As I mentioned before, a lot of Gawain's issues in these sections all boil down to the rules of chivalry. She brought up the rules of chivalry in that the idea that you can pledge a married woman as basically your chivalric love. Kinchon Reynard, fun yet annoying character. Kel's doing his tricks in my bio. Oh, interesting, interesting. I was not aware of that. Excuse me. But yeah, Reynard is very, very popular. In fact, I'm sure some of you have seen the 1970s Disney animation of Robin Hood, where they cast Robin Hood as a fox. Now, the fun fact about that was that the animated film was originally not going to be um, about Robin Hood. It was originally going to be an animated thing about Reynard. And in fact, it goes back further than that. When Disney was making Treasure Island, their live action Treasure Island, they originally the original idea was that the movie was going to be spliced in with cartoons based off the Legends of Reynard, with Lon John Silver telling these stories to Jim, which thank goodness they got rid of that idea. It would have been a terrible idea. But Reynard is a very popular character in medieval folklore. And in some ways, I think the character still exists in some literature, especially when you find foxes that are sort of trickster types in media. That is basically a modernization of the Reynard character. Hmm. So, for now, let's talk about next week. So, Sunday, if everything goes according to plan, well, it has to, I will be back with the Dracula collaboration. And it will be the first time in the collaboration I will be reading. Um, do expect me to hear. Do expect to hear Kinchon. They ended up doing that style when they did Son of the South Kite and the Brer Rabbit stories with Uncle Remus. Oh my goodness, that movie. It's an awful movie. It's not a good movie. Ugh, it's not a good movie. Um, where was I? Oh yeah, the Dracula collaboration. So it'll be my first time reading in that collaboration. So do be prepared for probably me to be doing the worst Texan accent in the world. I am doing the voice of Quincy Morris, and I can tell you it is probably gonna be. I'm probably gonna be butchering the accent. It's probably gonna be really bad. But I believe that is at 4 o'clock Sunday on Isao's channel. Let me give Isao a shout out so you know where to go for that. Okay, so you can that'll be the channel in which the Dracula collaboration will be. Kinshot, I can't even do a decent Texan accent, and I am one. Oh my goodness, a Texan fairy tale wolf. Who knew? Um, and then next week, Tuesday. Now this is if everything goes according to plan. There's no problems. Tuesday we will be doing more of a short hike, and then Thursday we will be continuing um, more of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. We'll be finishing it off, and we'll do a little discussion on the story and its media adaptations, and some of my issues with a few of them. But for now, let's see who we can raid for this night. Okay. You know what? Let's raid Jewelry Jelly. She is playing Kirby Superstar. Might be fun to relax with a little bit. So then, my dear scholar, Yulian 20, good night, dear Matsu and friends. Ah, thank you. So then, my dear scholars, I say unto you, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, till we meet each other again at the study. Take care, and I shall see you next time. Till then, farewell and bye bye.